So my friend Conor McGregor, well, not my personal friend, but I like his antics, usually. But this, Conor, come on, buddy. Did you need to do this? Really? So, if you haven't heard, Conor McGregor has been arrested for assault. And this is not good. He assaulted UFC fighters. Not one, but multiple UFC fighters and staff members of the UFC have been injured because Conor McGregor decided to break into the facility that they were staying at, realized which bus they were in when they were being transported, and attacked their bus with a dolly and chairs, broke glass. That glass decided to go and cut and injure fighters that were fighting tomorrow. Were fighting. They are no longer fighting because they have been injured. And Dana White has already come out saying that Conor is going to be sued by fighters. The bus company, most likely. He is going to be charged with assault. And it's all caught on tape. I think if the UFC wants to actually save some face here, you need to make an example of this immediately and say that he never is allowed to ever fight in the UFC again. Because he just attacked UFC fighters. Now, apparently he was going after Khabib. And Khabib said, hey, if you wanted to fight me, why not come into the bus? Why are you attacking a bus? Come into the bus if you want to fight. But why are you attacking the bus with a bunch of innocent people? With a dolly, which went through the windshield and injured multiple people. I don't understand how Dana White does not make an example out of this. Essentially, Dana White is saying that Conor is bigger than everybody else in the UFC. He can attack a bus of UFC fighters and still not get kicked out of the UFC for life. I've never seen anything like this. In my entire life, I've never seen anything like this. And it's like he destroyed the entire event. 3 fighters are not fighting because of the antics of Conor McGregor. And there he is being taken to jail in handcuffs. Wow. This is mind-boggling. And you can see it's all over the news. CBC News. Conor McGregor facing criminal charges for backstage melee. Wow. He allegedly instigated, has forced the removal of 3 fights in the UFC's biggest card of the year. Let's just take a look at this. Look at this. Here comes the dolly. Like, what are these guys doing? Really? So, obviously he's out of control. If you've seen the video, that video didn't show it. He throws a dolly through the windshield. And fighters get injured. A UFC spokesperson or member broke his knuckle. UFC President Dana White said Friday he spoke to McGregor via text, and the brawler said the confrontation was something that had to be done. Wow. So you had to go and attack a bus, did you? and you had to go and injure a whole bunch of innocent UFC fighters and athletes. Name me one time this has ever happened. The only time I can think about where something like this happened was when Tanya Harding had that incident in figure skating. That's the only thing I could think of. I can't think of anything else quite like this. This is ridiculous. And the best part is McGregor doesn't even realize he did anything wrong. It was probably the worst conversation we ever had, said Dana White. First things first on Friday morning. We talked yesterday before he turned himself in. And he still hasn't gotten rid of McGregor, which is mind-boggling to me. It's not that I don't think he understood what happened. He justified it. It was justified to him. So if you think that it was justified that he would fly in his private jet from Ireland, come to the UFC, have his own guys, members of his own company that were working at the event, open up the doors for him and 20 guys to rush in and then attack a bus filled with women and men fighting tomorrow. And in his mind, he's justified for doing this. And you don't come out and say that he's banned from the UFC? What message are you sending to your own fighters? You're essentially saying that you can't protect your own fighters from Conor McGregor because Conor's bigger than the UFC. That's essentially what Dana White is saying. I mean, read between the lines. Am I correct or incorrect? Yeah, I agree. Brandon has a good point here. He says MMA fighters aren't allowed to fight because they are trained in martial arts. That takes a lot of discipline to not jump out of the bus and start something. Totally agree with you, Brandon. Alex Thorne says, that's just good publicity. He'll get a little slap on the wrist. No one will press charges. And he is set for the UFC grudge match. Oh, people are going to press charges. There's no doubt that people will press charges. Thank you, Alex. I like your statement, but people are pressing charges. It's already come out. McGregor's going to get me next, Digital Hedge? Hey, man, listen, I love Conor McGregor. I think he's very entertaining. I just don't like the fact that he thinks that he is above the law and he can fly on his private jet to America from Ireland and then attack a bus full of fighters with weapons and use dollies as weapons and throw them through windshields. It's nothing short of insane. It's like a WWE episode. It's not professional. It hurts the UFC. It hurts other fighters. It hurts the perception of people towards the UFC. It just makes the UFC look like a circus. Now, will this increase pay-per-views and will this increase the grudge match, as Alex is alluding to, with Khabib? Well, yeah, but I don't think Conor wants to fight Khabib. Khabib will manhandle Conor. Everybody knows this. That's why Conor is throwing dollies. Clearly. You know what I mean? If Conor wanted to fight him, he would have went in the bus. Khabib said it himself. He goes, I was in the bus. Why are you throwing things at the bus? Why are you fighting a bus? Hurting people for that are fighting. It's just, it makes no sense. And clearly, he still doesn't think he did anything wrong. White said the 29-year-old McGregor said he was sorry about the fighters who were injured, but this had to be done. Okie dokie. It had to be done, eh? You had to go and injure other fighters. How did this have to be done? I don't know who is working with Conor, but there needs to be some help here for this guy. He doesn't have the right people around him, clearly. He is missing brain cells, says Sherry. Well, he took a lot of shots against Floyd. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely not all up there. That's for sure. You're not all up there to be flying on your private jet when you got $100 million not to be doing what you're doing and go and get yourself arrested in another country for assaulting multiple fighters, none of which were the fighter you were trying to assault. So I just don't understand what exactly he was thinking, and I'm still trying to get what you guys think because I don't understand what he was thinking here. Well, you know what? The funny part is now Max Holloway, he couldn't make weight. Something went wrong, and he's not fighting either. So nobody even knows what's happening tomorrow. Nobody knows who Khabib is fighting. Then they said it was going to be Anthony Pettis. So it's just turned the entire event into a joke. So Conor McGregor has lost the UFC millions with what he's done. Now, if they have a huge fight and it's going to be Conor versus Khabib, then they probably make all the money back. But I don't know if Conor's going to want to fight Khabib. I know I'd watch that fight for sure. So you believe, Jijori7, you believe Conor has more fans in Russia than Khabib? Yeah, I just don't know why someone would do this. So this is the reason why, okay? So the popular Irishman is tight with UFC 223 fighter Artem Lobov, who was involved this week in a scuffle in a hotel with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov fights Max Holloway, but that fight is off now too, for the light championship left vacant by McGregor. Lobov was yanked from the card and banned from the building. Michael Chiesa was sent to the hospital with injuries sustained in the attack and was forced out of his scheduled fight against Anthony Pettis. So then they were trying to put Anthony Pettis against Khabib. So this has just turned into a nightmare. A huge nightmare. So, hey, listen, Grigori, if you think that Conor has more fans in Russia than Khabib, then, maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't live in Russia. I think that if Conor was to fight Khabib, he would lose. That's my opinion. I think that Khabib is just a different animal on the ground. And if he gets Conor on the ground, he's going to maul him. And if Conor wants to fight him, I think he should fight him in the ring with real rules. And even Dana White said that himself. But, I like to see that fight, and hopefully Conor's not afraid of it. But, Conor got his ass beat by Nate Diaz. He choked him out. And then I believe in the second fight he lost. But, the UFC gave him that win. And then he got beat by Floyd Mayweather. So Conor really hasn't had a lot of success in anything. The UFC or boxing recently. He's been losing. But he happens to be a huge star. So because he's a huge star, Dana White can't just automatically get rid of him, even though he just attacked one of the UFC buses. He attacked Dana White's business, guys. Understand what he did. He attacked Dana White's business. He's in handcuffs. He's going to jail. And then when Dana talks to him, he still says this has to be done. So if I'm Dana White, I have to kick him out of the UFC. I have to. Because he thinks this had to be done. So what else is he going to do next? How else is he going to hurt the UFC? What is he going to do next to hurt more potential fighters in the UFC? What's he going to do next? He obviously doesn't think like he did anything wrong. So if he doesn't think he did anything wrong, and he's front page of CNN, he's front page of CBC, he's front page of The Guardian. So he's headline news all over the world. Okay? And everybody's talking about this. So I don't know what to say. I'm shocked that he would do this. I don't know what kind of people he has around him. He's a smart guy, but this is not smart what he did. And there's one thing to, it's one thing to, boost up a fight, get excited, try to create, interest in a fight. It's another thing to injure other people that are innocent. And you know what? I wouldn't be happy if he injured Khabib. I don't like the way that he went about doing it. Man. Pistol Pete, yeah, you know what? I would like to see Conor fight Mayweather at this point. I want to see Conor fight anybody in the ring. Conor is, he wears his heart on his sleeve, right? And Khabib, Conor feels like attacked his teammate, and Conor was retaliating. But the way he retaliated was the wrong way. The way he should have retaliated, he should have said, listen, man, if you want to fight my guy, then let's do it in the ring. And that would have been the way to do it. The way he did it by flying in his private jet, sneaking into the event, attacking the bus, hurting a bunch of people. That's just bad, man. It's not fair to those injured athletes that were supposed to fight. That was their opportunity for stardom. He took that away from them. That is just too selfish. It's one thing to be a star. It's one thing to be a great fighter. It's one thing to be a great showman. It's another thing to be just dumb. And what he did was just dumb. And he's going to pay for it heavily. Financially, with his name, with his reputation. Now, yeah, you might say he might get a super fight out of this and he might make 10 times the money. So who cares? But at the end of the day, those fighters that can't fight, they'll never be able to get that fight back because of this. And it's just wrong what he did. And, you know, as a parent who has kids, I would never want my kids in that sport. It's just too ridiculous. And one of the reasons why is because Dana White isn't protecting the athletes from guys like Conor McGregor. The athletes need to be protected. If the athletes are not being protected and their own athletes can attack them like that, then that means anybody can attack the athletes. And that's just sad. That's just really sad. Yeah, you know what? Holloway's out of the fight too, and it's just turned into a debacle. We don't know who's going to fight Khabib. We don't know who's going to fight Khabib. Someone's got to step up to fight Khabib, but we don't know who. You know? I just can't, like, I'm looking at Conor in handcuffs, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what were you thinking, buddy? Like, why would you do this? You know? I wanted to see Holloway go at it with Khabib. I thought Khabib was going to win that fight. I didn't think Holloway was going to win that fight. So I'm not surprised that Holloway's out of the fight because I wouldn't want to fight Khabib either. And I don't really think that Conor wants to fight Khabib. I really don't. So who knows what's going to happen here with Conor. This is really, really sad. It's a sad day for the sport. It's a sad day because I wanted to see a great fight. First, with Ferguson versus Khabib, and then that fell through. Then Holloway stepped in, and then he got medically unable to fight. So now that fell through. So Khabib is sitting there, waiting to fight. Conor's in jail. Like, it's turned into such a massive debacle. Dos Anjos? So RDA wants to fight? I mean, listen, man, I'll take any fight right now. I want to see Khabib go at it with somebody, but I want somebody to step up that's not afraid. You know what I mean? Somebody that's actually going to put on a fight. Well, no, he wasn't thinking, but at the same time, it's one thing to not be thinking. It's another thing to actually fly all the way from Ireland to America. Yeah, Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega, man, he wanted that fight. I say give the fight to Ortega. If Ortega comes out and saves the day, digital hedge, I agree. If Brian Ortega comes out and saves the day, that would have been the best fight anyways, to me. I think Brian Ortega is the #1 guy. So if Ortega can come up and save the fight, like, let's go, Ortega. Come and save the day, buddy. Can you imagine fighting on 1 day's notice a guy like Khabib? That's insane. For sure, Dana White's on the phone with Ortega right now. That would be nuts. That would be a fight. That would save the day. I would actually be pleased to see that. Now the UFC's biggest name, their star, who burst into the mainstream, landing on magazine covers, luring many to a sport they might have never considered, has been charged with assault and criminal mischief. One of these counts is a felony, and does far more than any bloody brawl or failed doping test to destroy the credibility of the UFC has built in recent years. The video of the organization's most visible fighter raging across concrete corridors, hurling garbage cans, project to the world an image that confirms McCain's original impression. What does it say about the UFC when the only fighter to hold titles in 2 of its divisions at once starts acting like a common hoodlum? My goodness. Yo, you went to high school with Ortega? Yo, man. Yo, let's break it, man. If you know that Ortega's fighting, Let me know, man. I'll break that news first. That's some huge news. I want to see that. Yeah, I think Conor's scared to fight anyone too. You got $100 million. Why would you want to fight? I wouldn't want to fight. Why would you even get in this situation? I'd be ringside just watching everybody, just smiling. You got $100 million. All these other fighters would dream to have $100 million. I'd be just ringside, keeping my nose clean, smiling at everybody. He doesn't need to go and do this to try to prove he's tough. Now he's got to go and get a felony charge. Come on. That's right. McLovin, the Irish R&B singer, says Conor is totally afraid of Khabib. I agree. I don't think he wants to fight him. That's why he was throwing dollies at him instead of going in the bus. Pistol Pete says, Sherry, you're wrong. Conor doesn't want to fight Tony or Khabib. He made a career out of beating featherweights. Yeah, I don't think Conor wants to fight, man. You got $100 million. Why would you need to get punched in the head? Just chill. Conor, man, just get into entertainment, brother. You're very entertaining. Probably go to the WWE. Oh, Pistol Pete, I follow MMA, man. Trust me. I follow MMA very, very closely. Yeah, you know what? T-City's just kind of come on the scene here in the last year, and he's just amazing. Every time I watch him fight, I'm amazed. And to see him as, like, I've always seen him as a submission specialist, so he chokes everybody out, and he's amazing at it, like very high-level jiu-jitsu. But to see him knock out Frankie Edgar the way he did with that crazy uppercut, that was legendary. So he's got a ridiculous game, and he's not afraid of Khabib. He said yes before Max did. He wanted the fight. So if we can make this fight happen, man, we got to make this fight happen, man. Save the card. Just Sherry says, Conor won't get paid ever like he got paid fighting Mayweather. Well, I don't know about that. I think he might get paid even more after this. Yeah, exactly. YouTube Stacker says after the lawsuits, he will lose the $100 million, so he will be forced to fight Mayweather again. I totally agree with that. He's gonna lose a shitload of money. It was not a good move by Conor. Yeah, I agree. McLovin, the Irish R&B singer, says this act will get Conor out of the UFC or suspended, so that's convenient out of fighting Khabib. He doesn't want to fight Khabib. Khabib has been fighting grizzly bears since he was like he was a kid. He was fighting bears. I mean, what man human fights bears? Khabib wrestles with bears, guys. Like, Khabib is not a normal human being. He just gets on top of you and he punishes you. Conor doesn't want Khabib. Now, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let's read a little bit more here because there's more of this craziness. So there was nothing mystical or magical about the man bellowing through Barclays with a posse scampering from security, flinging anything not bolted down at the bus filled with other fighters. When he threw the dolly through the bus window, he allegedly injured lightweight fighter Michael Chiesa and flyweight Ray Borg enough that both were pulled from Saturday's UFC 223 card. And apparently Borg has glass in his eye. Like, really? McGregor came off as the very thing he once described, a bully and a bum. Wow. They're calling him a bully and a bum. It's crazy. And people think this is a stunt, like a WWE stunt. Okay, Bristol Pete says, my problem with Ortega is that he has been busted for PED use and suspended 1 year. All respect out the door. Honestly, Pistol Pete, I think all these guys do something. So, you're going to get suspended, you're going to get caught sometimes, but everybody's on something. Let's be honest. The crypto lifestyle. Holloway will surprise all the doubters. Watch. It's a big gamble, but I'm down to put 1 BTC on Holloway. Crypto lifestyle. Holloway's not fighting. Yeah, he did not make weight. And apparently the doctor said he couldn't continue to cut weight. So Holloway's not fighting. We don't even know who's fighting Khabib right now. That's the crazy part. That is the crazy part. We don't even know who's fighting Khabib after all this chaos. Al Iaquinta versus Khabib, all but signed, 5-round main event. Breaking news from Ariel. Oh, there you go, YouTube stacker. I love it. You're breaking the news, brother. Yeah, I agree. Khabib is a stone cold killer, man. This is crazy news, guys. I had to get it off my chest. I can't believe what's going on here. It is a circus. UFC 223 is turned into a circus. Conor right now is in jail. Looks like Al Iaquinta will be fighting Khabib. The third guy now fighting Khabib? Like, what a joke. Like, this is nuts. Rich, do you have the over-under Conor being suspended 2 years? I say he's suspended for life. If I'm the UFC, I want to show that you cannot do this. You must suspend him for life. If you don't suspend him for life, then you're showing everybody that Conor is bigger than the UFC. And if you want to show everyone that Conor is bigger than the UFC, then the UFC is a joke. That's my opinion. So I say over. I say they have to suspend him for life. Because he did not just do something stupid. He attacked a bus full of fighters right before they're fighting. This is not acceptable behavior for anybody in any sport. An example needs to be made of him. And they're afraid to do it. I mean, does anybody disagree with me? It looks as though it will be Khabib versus Al Iaquinta. So it looks as though it won't be T-Town. It won't be Ortega fighting and stepping in to fight. And my question is, does that mean Al Iaquinta is fighting for the title? Is this still a title fight? Nobody knows. It's just turned into such a three-ring circus. Like, it's all over the news. It's everywhere. Dana White's been talking about it. Everybody's been talking about it. It's crazy. This is what we got from CBC News. And I mean, it's like front page news everywhere you look. Top stories. Everywhere you look. Right on CNN. Look at that. A second mixed martial artist, Cian Cowley, was also charged with 1 count of assault and 1 count of criminal mischief, police say. Cowley allegedly threw a chair at the bus. This is Cowley. CNN could not immediately reach representatives from McGregor or Cowley for comment. Like, what's wrong with these guys? McGregor is expected to appear in court Friday ahead of the court appearance. He and Cowley were seen separately Friday morning being escorted out of the New York NYPD 78th Precinct building and into cars with their heads apparently restrained behind their backs. Wow. This is just crazy. Pistol Pete says they're going to stall Conor's punishment like they're stalling John Jones. Silver spoon, kids things. Doubt it. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. We'll keep you guys updated if anything else crazy happens. I still can't believe what happened. Once again, Conor McGregor, other fighters have, and another fighter specifically, have been charged with assault, mischief, a felony for attacking a bus filled with UFC fighters right before the fight. And this is very serious. He is in jail as we speak. And UFC 223 apparently still going on, even though 3 fights have been canceled. And now we're hearing that Khabib is fighting Al Iaquinta, which is the 3rd guy now that has been scheduled to fight Khabib. Like, this has turned into a joke. We're trying to break the news first. We're trying to keep you guys updated. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe for more updates. And if you'd like to comment on the video, please, I'd love to hear you guys comment. Comment down below. Do you think this is going to help Conor McGregor's career? Do you think this is going to create a super fight between Conor and Khabib? That's what a lot of people are saying. Do you think this hurts Conor McGregor? Do you think Conor should be kicked out of the UFC? Do you think he should be suspended? Some people are saying 6 months. Some people are saying 2 years. I think he should be thrown out of the UFC. I don't think there's any room for any athlete to go and injure other athletes in any sport. I don't think that you should even be in the sport ever again, because why would they want anyone else to do what Conor just did, which is unthinkable? It's never happened in the history of the sport, and it probably will never happen again. Most people that make $100 million don't act this way. But this is a man that needs to be under control. Obviously, clearly, he can't be controlled. But I like Conor. I just don't like what he did. I think he's entertaining. I think he's a great fighter. He's a great showman, great communicator, great businessman. I just don't like what he did. All right, that's my take. This is your boy Rich, keeping you updated on what's going on. All right, party people, have yourselves a great day. I'm out. Peace. CNN, CBC, The Guardian, the whole world is talking about Conor McGregor.